Class is in session. Hey everybody, and welcome to Unlearn 16. Class is in session. Today you just get me. You just get me, and you get me a little tired, a little wiped out, a little spread very thin, but very happy. So I don't want to undervalue that, okay? I want you to understand that there's a level of happiness here and a level of excitement that I'm going to talk to you about. First, going to talk about the trip I just took my 7 and 8s on. So I just decided, with the help of another teacher, Rebecca, to take the grade 7 and 8s to an overnight trip to Niagara Falls. Why? Because I'm insane, and they desperately wanted to go. So what did we do? Well, we planned and booked the whole thing. So we would drive, we would have a full day on Friday, we'd have an overnight. By the way, the overnight is the only thing they want. I'm pretty sure you could take a group of 12, 13-year-olds, drop them in a warehouse, let them stay awake all night until they feel nauseous from Cheetos and they're really grumpy because they're tired, and they would say they had an absolute fantastic time. They don't need anything. Maybe their phones. That's it. Some Nerf guns. I mean, they really don't. I went there and we took them to the falls and we bought them packages of tickets. So we went on every ride that made me want to throw up. They even went through the haunted house, which some of them didn't want to go, but went through and really regretted it later. Um, we went on all of the things that made me nauseous. Like, they spun and there was clowns jumping out and I was, shooting zombies and the whole thing. And they were pure joy. They were pure joy. I even talked them into, and you won't see this because I can't show my kids on social media, but I even talked them into all going into one of those antique vintage places where we all got dressed up as cowboys and posed for pictures. Guys, we should all be models. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And that's going to be the number one picture going into the brand new school, I'll tell you right now. But as I'm experiencing all this, and they're being really, really great kids, I realized it wasn't just a matter of them being great and their parents being thankful and all of those things. I realized that I have students at my school now and that will be going to the new school as of next year who are just good, beautiful people. You guys know what that's like? You know what that's like when you look at your students and it's not just about, them being good and behaved and this and that, but you can actually go eat pizza, go on a Ferris wheel, get late night ice cream, and you have a good time because they're cool, because they're fun to hang out with, because they're intelligent and interesting and still kids, so they make you have a good time even though you're really, really old and want to get your sleep. That's the beauty of this trip. That's the beauty of the trip. I'm going to tell you a couple tiny little secrets of this trip. Number one, so they were going through the haunted house. Not all of them wanted to go through the haunted house. Two of them sat down with me so they didn't have to. Those were smart kids, had to hold your ground because they knew they weren't going to enjoy it. A few others went through sort of not really under peer pressure, but kind of, like everybody else is going and they didn't want to not go and they just kind of bucked up and went. And one of them, they sort of rock, paper, scissored it to find out who was going to lead. It's horrible, by the way. And one of the kids that had to lead, he was really, really upset about it. And another kid, both boys, and another kid went up to him, apologized for it, said, "Don't worry, dude, I've got your back," and tried to make him feel good rather than, as many, especially some 13-year-old boys will do, rather than make fun, rather than jeer, rather than whatever, he went up to him, gave him a hug, and said, "Don't worry, I got you. I'm sorry we did that." What? Who are these beautiful humans? I'm going to tell you another thing. So we're going through the night, and sometimes, kids will get a little hyped up and they'll be like, "Joanna, can we do this? Joanna, can we do that?" And then they start, "Joanna, can you buy me things?" I'm like, "Guys, I don't have any money. Like, why do you think that I'm independently wealthy?" And they'll be like, "Come on, can you just buy us like a?" They all have money, by the way. It's not like they don't have money. They just want they just like it. I could buy them a pack of gum and they'd be super happy. I don't know what it is, but nonetheless, they're doing this. And I heard a student pipe up, but not in my earshot, really, just saying it to another kid. And this is what he says to another kid: "Stop asking her to buy you things. Do you know any other teacher who would take a bunch of us to Niagara Falls overnight? Cut it out." And I'm like, I didn't say anything because I wasn't supposed to hear that. But I'm like, oh my God, my heart grew 3 sizes that day. So that's happening. And I'm watching them all interact with each other and we're having a really good time. And, we get to the hotel and let's be honest, that's their goal. Their goal was the hotel. Their goal was to convince me to stay. They could stay up until 7 o'clock in the morning, doing nothing, by the way. You want to know what they do? They all sit in the room and they stare at their own phones. Occasionally a pillow fight. If I'd let them bought the Nerf guns, that could have been a problem as well. But for the most part, these kids are just interested in hanging out all night, even though they're exhausted and they know they're going to be tired in the morning. Nonetheless, I give them to a certain time. My mom's sixth sense wakes me up about 20 minutes after my time limit. I get up, I give the knock. Guys, I hear them scatter in the room. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, you first of all, don't ever join the CIA. You're just brutal. It's embarrassing over here. And then second of all, I'm gonna open the door and I'm gonna make sure kids are in their rooms. When I open the door, a kid comes to the door. He's like, hey, Joanna. And he's like rubbing his eyes. I'm like, okay, first of all, you're not a good actor. So I'm going to need you to put that away. That's embarrassing. You need more classes with Ryan. Second of all, everybody in the room, up we get. Let's go. So out of the bathroom, from under the bed, from behind the curtains, they come out like, and they're just like all walking out in a single file, not making eye contact with me with their heads down. Was I annoyed? Sure. Was I angry? No, that's what kids do on an overnight. Of course that's what they try to do, and it's my job to ruin it. That's that's the great balance of life. They try to push it a little bit further, and I'm the wet blanket. Even Steven. So as their heads are down, like they don't want to catch my eye, or otherwise, like I'm going to scream at them or something, which I never did. I'm like, everybody to their bed. Now, here's the trick of a great teacher. You want to hear the trick of a great teacher? You send them off to their rooms, guys. But then you wait. You shut the door. You even might pretend to shut your door. And then what do? You take an extra 10 to 15 minutes and you stand in the hall. Why? Because they're not smart. And what they're going to try to do is wait. They heard Joe's door shut. She's gone back in her room. That's it for her. She's not coming back out again. And they try to sneak out. So as I'm standing there kind of leaning against the door, of course, I see a couple of doors open. They open, they see me. Now I have to say, one kid in particular came up with a thing pretty quickly. He's like, oh, Joanna, do you mind if I just go back in that room and get all my stuff? So not only was it was this a bad plan, but it was a full out plan because two of them had left all their stuff in this other room. Their computers, their phones, their charger, like everything was in this room and their everything. So they had to go back. I'm like, what'd you forget? And they're like, oh, I just forgot I had a laptop. I just left it. So they come out, guys, carrying what looks like all of their belongings that they were using on the trip that they're now drudging back to their room. And I said, oh, okay. Well, that's good that you guys came back out while everybody was still awake, and but I have to give it to that particular student because that was a quick pickup. And he sold the line. He really sold the line. So I get them to get all their stuff and they go back to their room. And I said, listen, here's my big rule. You do not go to the pool without me. Like that's a big rule, right? Because bad things happen in pools. Kids are stupid, whatever. And you do not. And they're like, well, can we wake you up in the morning? I said, well, obviously you can. But I thought they'd sleep in, right? I thought they were up until God knows what time, even after I put them back in their room and patrolled the hall for the extra 15 to make sure that's where they were staying. But they got up in the morning and these kids knocked at my door at about 7:45. quarter to 8 a.m. And I'm like, wow, very nicely. Tap, tap, tap. Joe, can we go to the pool now? And guys, there was like 6 of them, fully ready, bathing suit, towels, ready to go down that pool. So obviously, I say, of course, we will stop and get coffee on the way down and let's go to the pool. And then they had a great time, right? And then we got all packed up, took them out for breakfast, which they were also very thankful for and very lovely at breakfast. And as we're choosing all the food at breakfast, it was quite funny. And a kid sitting next to me, very quietly, very lovely, and so nobody else could really hear, says, I just want to thank you for doing this for us because it really means a lot. And guys, that kid could have asked me to buy him a car in that moment, and I would have said, I melted. That kind of authentic thank you for just doing something, and I said to him, dude, you guys were great. You guys were fantastic. We had a great time. I should be thanking you. And he's just like, no, you didn't have to do this. No, nobody else would really do this in other schools. And had he known the melting of my heart, I mean, I would have given him my car keys right about then because it was so beautiful. And then we went on to have a nice shopping day at the outlet malls and all of that. And as we're driving home and they're all passed out in the car because they're exhausted, I start to think about the new school and the thing that Ryan and I and the teachers are about to step into and all of the work that it's going to be and the stress and all of those things that it already has been. And I think this is the foundation of what I want to build. That the idea of building a school where kids and students and parents, for that matter, can look at their teachers as a part of their community, as an extension of their family, because we are all connected and talk to one another and a part of each other. Look at us and understand that we want to do amazing things with them, that we want to see them grow, that we got their back. And all we want to do in this world is see them do great things and then for them to trust that. And us going out and trusting them and doing great things with them. Guys, that should be the underpinning of a school. Because it's that kind of trust and that kind of commonality and that kind of connection. And it really does extend to parents. Make no mistake. Like I've had parent meeting after parent meeting. They're on phones with me talking about the new school, what's going to happen, how's it going to happen, all of their concerns. And as this is happening, all the chaos I thought it was going to be, all of the insanity I thought it was going to be, what it actually has done is it's built this beautiful, powerful community of teachers, administrators, parents, and students who all want the same thing. And I know for a fact, not always, parents aren't always going to agree with me, and teachers and students aren't always going to agree. And we're going to have issues, but you know how we're going to handle it? We're going to handle it by having big discussions. We're going to handle it by having open communication. And we're going to handle it with an underpinning of trust and support and community that is essential. If every school had that, our kids and our students would have such a better shot at life, such a better capacity for growth and progress and accomplishment, such a better sense of self-esteem and confidence and the ability to find their true and authentic selves, because we're all just there trying to make sure that happens with your faults, with the things you're great at, with your insecurities, even if they exist. We're all going to big that up. And over the last few weeks, including that trip, I realized that that's what this new school is. And I don't know if it exists anywhere else. I haven't seen it. I really haven't seen it. I don't know if people will say what the foundations of education are, but I still feel like they're missing the point. because the foundation is never about a result, is never about the end. The foundation or the underpinning of education has to be the student. It has to be, how do we make them feel great and make them feel an internal greatness and ensure that they're going to rely on people when they get into trouble and they're going to be able to ask for help when they need it. And we're going to build this connectivity between their family and the school and them. I think a lot of schools actually probably don't advocate for that. They pretend, right, with like parents' councils and bake sales and all those things. That's not what I'm talking about. It really isn't. And what I'm talking about, probably for a lot of teachers and a lot of administrators, they wouldn't want any part of. They would think it would be too hard, too consuming, and it probably will be. It probably will be. I'm not going to lie. But I don't think, unless I'm willing to go in it like this, I don't think it has value. I think this school, and I know I haven't given you a name or the school colors, but you can go check the mascot out on my TikTok. But the value of this school has to be that. Has to be that. And I've really lucked into finding out what the real value is. Because I think I always thought I knew. And until I was thrown into this insanity of a situation, I had no idea. You pretend like you think because you're like, well, I've been through so much. I've been a teacher for 21 years. And then all of a sudden you're tossed into this. And you have parents picking up the phone saying, we got your back. We know you have, my kid's back, so we have yours. Let's build this thing. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I don't think I know I wouldn't have found it if not for the chaos, if not for the controversy. You don't see greatness in your community until it is tested, until things suck, until things are at risk, until ideas are challenged and even disagreements and conflict happens. You don't see the greatness that is your staff, that is your administration, that are your students. I have students. I mean, this is a big transition for them, right? This is a lot. And they're like, that's all right. We got this. Not I got this. They say, we got this. My volleyball team's just asking about new uniforms. They just want to make sure we're going to be practicing. We're going to up our game. We're going to do this and this. I'm like, of course. You think I'm going to let that team go? Forget it. You guys are just becoming great. So in the same way, the grade 7 and 8 trip made me exhausted, made me question all of my sense as I was driving. Heaven help me listening to Metallica, Slipknot, and then the battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar. You realize that you have to put yourself in their world. And if you put yourself in their world to some degree, you get this sort of beautiful community / experience with these amazing kids who with their parents, you're teaching them how to be cool, grown people. What's okay, what's not okay. All that stuff is about school. Because I know when I sit down and I demand things of them now, and I push them to excel, and I push them to study harder, or I push them to do better in an assignment, I know for a fact they're not going to look at it as much as, oh, Joanna's just a teacher trying. No. Now Joanna gets to be the teacher that found out her school was closing, fought like hell to get a new one, took them on this trip, understood what they needed, understood the the elements of education as they exist out of the side of the classroom, the teacher that talks to their parents consistently, not to catch them in anything, not to control the student, but to understand them and their family. And all of a sudden that student is going to trust me and go, I'm going to give it a go. Because I don't think Joanna's trying to trap me or make me work or somehow punish me. I know she's trying to help me. And if a student knows that, if a student knows you have their back and that's what your goal is, guys, there's no stopping that. There's no limiting that level of education. And whatever they do with it, they will gain esteem and confidence and a level of superpower status that will make them be able to accomplish and walk into any room to do anything that they set their minds to. So that's my school ethos. Go through scary things, be honest, be authentic, rely on each other, build a community, and you will be amazed at what a bunch of people who truly care about each other can make happen in this world. And with that, I will see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, and maybe, just maybe, I'll let you in on the colors and the school name. But you'll have to come back for that one. Dismissed.